Defense Secretary Gates in China this week and warning the Chinese not to, quote, underestimate the U.S. military after China refused to adopt a more cooperative stance with the U.S. military and tested a stealth bomber during his visit to China. We're joined now by Gerald Celente. He's the publisher of the Trends Journal. And Gerald, you always tell me that current events predict future trends. Are we on a collision course with China?
Well, we may not be on a collision course just yet because we're still doing business together. But let's get the reality here of what Secretary of Defense Gates is saying. Just for the record, it was the Chinese, along with the North Koreans, that pushed the United States out of South Korea and made an armistice. There was never a peace treaty to that war. And just for the record, it was the Chinese, along with the Vietnamese, that defeated America in the Vietnam War. Just for the record. And just for the record, the United States can't beat a bunch of Afghans with sandals on and light arms. They're not going to defeat the Chinese. And the Chinese now, they don't have the military muscle, but they have the strategic ability with their new aircraft carrier killing missiles, and now, as you mentioned, they're stealth bombers.
So you're saying the U.S. would lose a war with China?
The U.S. would lose a war. They can't win in Afghanistan or Iraq. I mean, all this blowhard talk about we're going to protect, Japan, and if there's a strike against North Korea or North Korea against the South, we're going to step in. Here's my favorite: we're going to protect Taiwan.
Right.
Yeah, right.
All right, so the Chinese aren't stupid, though, and we do still have a few nuclear missiles and everything else, and yes, a lot of their economy is tied up with us. So isn't that concept of mutually assured destruction going to protect us the way it protected us with Russia?
Absolutely, yeah. So, but don't underestimate me. Take it easy, Junior. You're not who you used to be, and neither is China. This is a different game now, and the game is money. That's really the name of the game, because when I was growing up, we were taught to hate those Russians, those commie Russians, and those red Chinese, until everybody started doing business. So everything's okay right now.
Right, and you're right. And the big point of contention with China is our arms sales to Taiwan.
Yeah.
So it's basically about U.S. wanting to have that market for its arms, and the Chinese saying we don't want you to make that sale. Maybe we want to sell our goods, because the Chinese have become big arms dealers now in the world as well.
And here's a funnier one, if it wasn't so sick. Hillary Clinton going to Hanoi, and Hanoi and China are fighting over these Spratly Islands in the South China Sea, and her saying that it's in the United States' interest to take a stand on this and protect them. Wait a minute, Vietnam? Oh, yeah, I remember Bill was out there. I think it was in the 5th Marine Division, I mean, come on. So, no, this is just talk.
Right.
But so how does it evolve? I mean, presumably they build up military. There's some skirmish maybe somewhere where new lines are drawn. I mean, how does it play out?
Taiwan becomes China. And China wins whatever they want to do out in that area. It's just an evolutionary process throughout history. You have powers that rise and fall. Nobody's going to be able to touch China. The other thing that happened, let's go through the history of this. When the United States and other countries started manufacturing in China, one of the deals was you have to give us your technology as well. And whether it was Boeing, GE, Hitachi, or Siemens, they now have the technology. So it's hands off on China.
Are economic relations going to break down to the point where China will suddenly seize all of our companies that are operating over there? I mean, it's now a huge manufacturing base and sales base for a lot of U.S. companies.
No, China wants business to continue to go. That's why they're buying up bonds in Europe to keep the Ponzi game afloat. So no, they don't want war. It's the last thing that they want. They want more money.
Right, so is that part of the world the most likely place? Because you talk about the possibility of wars, hot wars, in the coming year.
The Middle East.
It's
the Middle East. It's the Middle East, hands down. And it's, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict isn't going away. Iran is still a hot button issue. No, that to us is the place to look. That's where it's going to be. By the way, if North Korea attacked South Korea, the North Korean border is only 100 miles away from Seoul. And Seoul is one of the most populated cities in the world, 24 million people. That place becomes toast. there's not going to be a war. If there is, it's the beginning of World War III.
Well, let's hope we certainly don't see that. All right, Gerald, thanks very much.